We're so glad y'all are all here today. This morning, Johnny Peters is going to open us with a devotion.
Morning.
Morning.
Hey, as Lisa said, my name is Johnny Peters. I am the director of the USA Wesley Foundation. These are my people. These are my students. And these are my people too. These are my students, and Willie started out as one of my students as well. And I know some of you don't even know Willie, but he's kind of the reason we're here. But we'll get to that in a minute. So Willie started out as one of my students, and then became one of my co-workers. But through it all, the most important thing, he was a very, very good friend. And so we're here to celebrate his birthday together here today. So, and that's cause for celebration. So, like I said, today's his birthday. Lisa asked me to do the devotional today, and we're just going to talk real briefly about one of my favorite characters in the Bible, and his name is Jacob. He's not a werewolf. He's not a lost. He's much more interesting than both of those people, and less dramatic probably. But so Jacob is this character in Genesis, and he's the guy who's the son of Isaac and the brother of Esau. And if you remember the story, Esau and Jacob, they're twins, and they were coming out when they were being birthed at the same time. And Jacob was even grabbing hold, trying to of his brother's heel, trying to be the firstborn, trying to pull him back in. So that's kind of the story of his life. We know later that he creatively, no, there's no way around it. He cheated his brother out of a birthright that he had. He later does some other kind of sketchy stuff. He also wrestled with God, which is some really cool stuff. But he reminds me a lot of Han Solo. He's a scoundrel, and he's kind of tricky and looking out for himself a little bit. But through it all, he's used for something much greater. And God continues to use him even though he is those things, which is a great message of hope for me. So he's kind of a scumbag, and he does some stuff. And one of the things that he does, and the interaction I want to talk about today, is he has this interaction with his father-in-law named Laban. And they have this deal, and I won't go into it. They have this deal about who gets what flocks, and he's kind of working for him. And he's kind of taking some money under the table is what he's doing here, essentially. And so he's cheating his father-in-law out of cattle, out of riches, and his father-in-law finds out about it. And so Jacob does what Jacob does, and Jacob runs. He takes off, and he's hiding with all this stuff, and Laban catches up with him. His father-in-law catches up with him, and they have words, as you would think. And so they have words, and they're arguing, and they're talking, and there's one saying, you cheated me, and then you cheated me, and they come to this realization that, they both were a little bit wrong. And so they do something very weird that we don't really do anymore. They took rocks, and they just put them in a pile. And that sounds strange, but it's a conflict resolution tool, I guess. But they took these rocks, and they just put them in a pile, and they did this, and they stepped back, and they looked at these rocks in this pile, and they say, this is here so that we remember that we had this conversation. This is here so that we remember that, we are going to treat each other right from now on. This is here for us to remember that Jacob is going to treat Laban's daughters well. This is here so that we remember that something very, very important has happened. And we don't stack rocks anymore, but we do stack mortar and concrete and lumber and siding and shingles. And we stack these things so that we too will remember. We do those things because we want to provide someone with not just a house, but a home. We want everyone to have the things that we're blessed with. But we also do it so that we remember. We do it so that we remember, the beauty of a life, the beauty that came into the world because of a life of a person that we know and love. We do it to remember his example. If you heard Robert Howard speak last year, he talked about Willie living fully and loving recklessly. And we do this to remember to live like that. So we do this to remember him. And we want to always remember our blessings, no matter how long we have them. And so we're thankful, and we usually close a devotion with a prayer. We're going to do that a little bit differently. I want you to grab something, a cup, a hammer. We're going to toast as we begin today. So maybe it's a hat, your keys, any kind of something. So, ready? May we live fully and love recklessly. Happy birthday, Willie. Happy birthday. Cheers. Amen. Amen.